Hmm. Hi guys, happy Saturday. It's the day before Mother's Day. Sorry, I just got out of the shower, but I wanted to talk to you about some things that are on my heart right now, and I want to show you something as well. Um, one thing, tomorrow I'll do another thing. So, tomorrow's Mother's Day. I hope everyone tomorrow has a wonderful Mother's Day. Jax, make sure you get something good for your mom. She's an amazing lady, as well as your city and grandma. I got my grandmother a cute little flower and a card. So let me talk about Mother's Day and why I'm emotional today and will be tomorrow. If y'all don't know this or I haven't spoke about it, in 2005, sorry, I'm getting emotional, I thought I was in love. I thought I found the one, the whole works. No one knew I was with anybody. No one knew I was in a relationship. I kept it secret from my whole family until Thanksgiving of 2005 when I came clean that I was pregnant. Not something you want to do on Thanksgiving, not something you want to do the day before your mom leaves to go to China when your dad's working in China for a while. Not something I wanted to be, or I didn't want to be pregnant. I found out I was pregnant, didn't believe it, took like 18 pregnancy tests. Found out that, I got pregnant on Halloween. Wow, okay. Sorry, a little too much information, especially if my cousin's watching. Anyway, thought I was going to keep her. Wanted to keep her. I thought if my sister Amy could have 2 kids and still finish college, that I could do it, right? Wrong. I was young and dumb and didn't know any better. It broke the guy's heart. See, what happened was I had gotten an argument with my mom, and it was about January, February. And the father of my kid and I were still kind of dating, and he was out working or whatever, doing what he was doing. And I got so mad that I got my car and wrecked it right down the street from my house. And I knew then that I was not ready. I knew then that if I could get so mad at my mother for suggesting, even placing for adoption, because I was adopted to their family. My birth mom was a drug addict and shouldn't have had all 4 kids that she had. Blessed that she did, because I know my brother and I love my brother. I can't find one of my brothers, and I would love to find him. I found my other brother and don't really talk to him. I wouldn't be a part of this family that I am now with 12 cousins who are all amazing, and second cousins and third cousins, and know all of them and get to see them once a year and have as many adventures as I've had. Scotland and London and Amsterdam and Canada and Mexico and Hawaii, or going on small vacations to Walt Disney World with my grandparents before my grandpa passed away, or going to Snyder and seeing my Mimi and my pops and my grandma. I would never have had those if I was not adopted into this family. So I'm grateful for that. It took me years to be grateful for that. So when my mom mentioned I should place my daughter for adoption, I was furious. At the time, I didn't know what I was having. So I got in my car and I wrecked it right down the street from my house. Literally, I could walk to my house. And I thought, if I could get so angry and do that, what happens if I have a child? What happens if I get angry at the kid? Like, I couldn't do that. So I went home and I took a shower. And I called the father and broke up with him and thought maybe it'd be better to place our kid for adoption. And unfortunately, it ruined him. His family blamed me for years. Most of them still do. He moved on and had 2 other children and went down a path that he shouldn't have, drugs and jail and prison, and then got out and got straight and got clean and became a Christian and is working to mend relationships and things, and I'm proud of him for that. But during that time I was pregnant, I was just like, oh my goodness. So I told my mom, I said, I think you're right. And it crushed me. Literally, it crushed me. Not only because I didn't want her to be right, but I knew that it was the best thing for her. So, my daughter will be 13 this year. Sorry, don't mean to get emotional. A beautiful blonde hair, blue eyes, pale skin, rosacea cheeks just like me. 13-year-old girl who loves volleyball and track and is amazing at both. So how did I come about all this adoption stuff, right? Well, we looked up online of places to go, and I went to a place called Father Heart Maternity Home in Tyler, Texas. It's run by missionaries from Youth of the Mission, where I eventually went to disciple training school and SOE school. I didn't finish SOE school due to a very interesting accident that no one in my family knows except for my siblings and my mom and dad and 2 cousins, one on each side of my family. And I'm not going to go into that. But they have a home for women who are unmarried and pregnant and can't decide if they want to parent or adopt, or a place for adoption. And they also have a pregnancy resource center that helps them. And they also have Loving Adoption Agency, which I went through and love every single one of them. They do classes on parenting. They do classes on adoption, how to recover. They also have, what they have is the aftercare program for women to get back into society after placing a child for adoption. So I went there. March, on my 20th birthday. I went the week after my 20th birthday. I was 19 when I got pregnant. I was 20 when I had her. At that point, I still talked to the father. And I was like unsure if I wanted to get back together with him or figure out how to work it out. Unsure. We still talked. We weren't really together. We were just talking. And then I decided that it might be best for my daughter to have a both loving mom and father together who could give her the world. So I started the adoption process. Well, the father didn't want to do that. So he fought tooth and nail. I met the couple, found out that the father of my child had been served his rights, was going to take me to court. I went in, found out I was having a girl. Great. I'm so happy. Told the couple what I was expecting and that there are some complications with the father, so I'm fingers crossed, everyone's praying that it works out. One of my best friends, her name was Taji. Unfortunately, she was murdered and still unresolved. I was in Scotland when I found out she was murdered, but she had been a Father Heart girl who placed her daughter with one of the missionaries at the home who worked there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful daughter, and she's still amazing to this day. And she helped me a lot through that. She helped me understand that it's love for your daughter, you're just not giving her away, you're giving her love. And so I praise her to this day and miss her, Taji, and my daughter. So then I learned the acceptance of the Lord and the love and asked for forgiveness from everyone I've been mean to my whole life because I didn't understand it. Well, then I found out the day, so Taji went with me. My friend Taji went with me to find out how I was doing. I was due in like 3 weeks. It was July. My daughter's due date was July 21st. And I remember this because Taji held my hand and told me it was going to be okay. And I wish she was still here on this earth to tell me that every day, or every Mother's Day, or every daughter's birthday, because she's been through it. Or Brandy Milstead, who passed away from lupus. She was there too. And they understand. You know, a lot of birth moms understand. So the day I went, unfortunately, in front of the home, we have a ton of acres there at Father Hurt Maternity Home. There's a dangerous highway called 110. And unfortunately, a girl was just killed in a car accident right there. And I was just devastated because of that. So it's already emotional as it is. And I knew something wasn't right with my baby. So I went to the doctor. They couldn't find a heartbeat. Put me on monitors, found out that I had a thing called placenta previa, which means the bag that is connected to your child, the placenta, that feeds the child and gives everything to the child, usually is behind the child. And you'll deliver that after you deliver the baby. Well, there's a thing called placenta previa that it is in front of the baby. And you could deliver that first, and then you have minutes to get the baby out, or it could die. Well, not only that, but my baby was transverse, which means my baby's head was here, her body here, and her butt here, and her feet here. That's not a way you want to have a child. You want to have them head first. So I had to call my mother because they were going to schedule a procedure where they try to make her move by lifting up one side of my belly and pushing down her head on the other side. On the outside of my belly, nothing surgical, but they had to put an IV in case they popped it or I went into labor or anything, because they would have to have a C-section. So I called my mom and my mom's friend, Karen, and they came down immediately. It was that Monday I called. They came down Tuesday night. They were here for Wednesday. We found out that it didn't work, that I would have to have a scheduled C-section July 17th, the day she was born. My mother was there the whole time. I love my mother. I never loved my mother or father growing up until I went through what I went through and realized that they had been there and they wanted me this whole time. And it was rough because I was adopted and didn't think I was wanted until I went through it. She was born at 7:57 a.m. via C-section, July 17th, 2006 in Tyler, Texas. And it was rough. I kept her for 3 days in there, and I broke down saying, how can I do this? I'm already attached to this child. How can I do this to her? I want her. I want to keep her. I can't do it. I can't afford to. I can't do any of it. My mom made me realize I was doing something good. Well, we found out that the father was taking me to court, so there was no way I was going to be able to place her for adoption when I wanted to. It was either put her in foster care and wait it out, or just go ahead and take her home. So my mom and dad prayed about it a lot, and God said they would guard their heart. So instead of putting her in foster care, my parents took her home and cared for her until we placed her for adoption in October. I had her in July. That's a long time. I saw her every 2 weeks for appointments and fell in love with her more. I went to court several times until he finally showed up to one of the courts, wanted a DNA test, and then he said, no, I don't. I know it's yours. He then confessed that he had been smoking pot, and the judge said, well, you'll never get rights away. You'll never get rights anyway, so I order you to pay back child support since the day she was born, and all this. I think it was like 60 grand or something. And so that day I was told to go home and be a mom that was going to raise my kid. About 45 minutes later, Dad gets a phone call from the adoption agency and the lawyer that her father couldn't pay that and decided it might be best to go ahead and place for adoption. So you talk about 45 minutes going back to the hotel, telling my grandmother I'm gonna keep my daughter, and then I'm gonna go pack up my stuff in the aftercare program and go home and be a mom, to being in the lobby holding my daughter in a sling type thing with one suitcase and a bag, and my dad hands me a chocolate chip cookie and tells me the news. I went from how I was just a second ago to this. I cried the whole way there. Tore up a tissue box. A week later, I placed my daughter for adoption. I took photos with her, with my family. The couple come in. There's a big, great room that they have at the home. They cried, we exchanged gifts. And right before they left, I walked my daughter around, held her, cried with her, told her I will always love her, I will always be her mother. And that meant the world to me. And then they walked out, and I had my dad and my mom. I said, y'all are going to have to sit on me because I'm going to want to run out this room and I'm going to want to kidnap my own kid. I then went to Snyder to see my grandmother after I had my stitches removed from my C-section. And I had a meltdown, a big meltdown that my mom had to call my grandfather, who worked in the hospital, to prescribe me something to calm me down. Sorry, I don't want to get emotional. Well, one thing good about Father Heart is they hold a banquet every year for the birth moms and the couples to get together and see each other and exchange gifts and da-da-da. Well, we did that. And they asked if I wanted to have an open adoption because we had her for so long, and I said yes. Well, funny story is we went to Cracker Barrel the next day, me and my mom and dad, and who shows up but my daughter's kids with my daughter. And they were like, oh my goodness, hi. I was like, should we leave? And they're like, no, it's fine. Maybe we should. Today will be the first day that, we did the open adoption. We were going to do it just once a year. And that was fine. And so I said, well, can I hold her? And she nuzzled right here. And I was so happy for them. But when we left, I cried. It was a month after giving her away, Well, then the next year, I saw her. I brought my mom, some of my sisters, my grandparents, both my Mimi and Pa, and my grandma to meet her. And she played with me. She walked. She dropped things in my hand. She was saying, I think, mommy to her mom. And I cried really hard. I had to turn around and cry to my adoption lady. I did it one more year, I believe. Can't quite remember. And then I had to stop. I said it's nothing against them or anything, but it's so hard for me because I just want to take her home, I know a lot of birth moms are like that too. I stayed in that program until 2008, the aftercare program. I went home for a year and a half and decided to become a missionary. I went to missionary school that was run by the missionaries who helped me at the Father Heart Maternity Home. I did that in 2010 for 5 months, and then I was going to do the next school, and about halfway through the next school, I was in somewhat of an accident. So I left, and my life had been altered. I don't wish any ill on the father of my kid. I hear he's doing great and got his life together and became a Christian, so I don't wish him ill. I don't wish anybody ill, especially people who say, oh, you just had her doesn't mean you're her mom, or you're not really a mom just because you gave birth to her and you didn't raise her. That was my ex-husband, one of them, who said that, and several other people. And they just don't get what sacrifice you do for yourself, not only for you, but your daughter or son or whoever. So today and tomorrow I get very emotional. And the day of her birthday, July 17th, I get very emotional. Every other holiday is fine. I always try to be with my family, my nephews and nieces and all that, so I can distract myself. But I was just there last week, and now I'm back here with my grandmother, and it's hard. I gave my grandmother a little plant and a card, and my mom and dad gave her a card, and my sister gave her flowers. And I'm so glad I got to see my nephew, my little nephew Owen, and my niece and nephew Dylan and Devin. And Devin just went to prom, and she's a junior in high school and looked gorgeous. And now I have a little niece on the way, and I'm so excited. It's just really hard. And so I've always been a fur mom. I always have fur babies like dogs, and I lost Lola in California, and then I got Danny, and unfortunately Danny's no longer here anymore. That was my bulldog, who I love to this day. I actually have a photo of her, if y'all can see it. Right there. That was my fur baby. But I have a new fur baby. He's 11 weeks old. Excuse me. He's a Schnauzer mix, and his name is Hank. Right now, Hank has a little cold, and he hasn't had his second round of shots, so he can't go outside, so he has to wear a little male diaper, which works wonderful. My grandmother loves him already, which is great. It's basically for her, but it's my dog. So yeah, that's my little addition. But if you're my family and you see me tomorrow, like Jax, if you see me tomorrow, or anybody, please know why I get emotional now on this day. I'm in a really great support group for birth moms on Facebook, and I wrote a comment today about it, and I've had nothing but wonderful support, and I love that. And wonderful support from my grandmother and my mother and my aunt Miriam. It's just hard, I'm just giving a perspective on what it's like for a birth mom who places a kid for adoption on Mother's Day, and you don't have your kid on Mother's Day, basically. What it's like. My daughter is gorgeous and smart and athletic, and has traveled to Michigan and Mexico and cruises and everything. And unfortunately, even though both her parents are divorced, they co-parent, and they're doing a great job. I get Facebook messages from the dad all the time, sending me photos, even a track video of her winning her first ever 300 hurdle or 100 hurdle, I can't remember. And it makes my heart leap with joy, and it makes my heart leap with sadness. So whoever watches this or comes upon this and they're a birth mom or mom, happy early Mother's Day. I wish y'all the best. I rejoice with y'all, and I'm sad with y'all. Sorry, Jax, if this is emotional and you don't like seeing me that way. I don't know if you do or not, but... Oh, and Jax, I got a new car. I will be doing a small video of that tomorrow to show y'all. My old car, the owner was a smoker, and it was just not very good. So I'll explain more of that tomorrow. I'm going to do another video, try to keep myself occupied tomorrow. So look forward to that. And I love my new car. And I love my little boy Hank here. He's the sweetest. The only time he barks is when he's in his kennel, because he doesn't want to be in there. He is crate trained now. I've been doing that, and he's been doing excellent. He does have allergies, unfortunately. He's getting his second round of shots next week, and then he has to have his neutering in June, which I'll be going to Conroe for that, because we got him from a rescue, and they automatically do that once we pay the adoption fee. It's included, so that's nice. He likes to sleep pretty much all the time, loves to play, loves to run. Can't go outside yet because, the secondary shots. But overall, he's one of the sweetest dogs. And me and my grandmother are both in love. My mother's in love with him. They named him Hank at the rescue, and it just stuck with him. So he's Hank, and I couldn't be happier at the moment to have a little fur baby to distract me. So anyway, love you all. Blessings to y'all. Happy early Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. Hug your kids. Kids who watch this, or anybody who watches, make sure you get your mom a great gift. Jax, make sure. I'll get you if you don't. Anyway, love you all.